On Blackflint, a duel is not a fight. A fight is two angry children. A duel is a law. When one student calls another to the dueling floor, and the call is witnessed by a crown, the school cannot stop it. The two stand inside the old stone circle, and they cast until one yields or one falls, and whatever happens inside the circle is held lawful, even death, because 300 years ago, the houses agreed that blood spilled by the rules is cheaper than blood spilled outside them. Lord Sael knew the law of the circle better than anyone, so he did not send an assassin for Kai. He sent a challenge. It was Corin who delivered it, the boy in sail white, with the closed-door face, who had watched the light die in the practice hall and walked out to tell. He found Kai in the dining hall, at the no-crown end of the table, and he did it loudly, so that every student in the room would witness. Kai no house. Corin's voice rang off the stone. You insulted my house. The hall went quiet. Kai, who had spent 5 weeks becoming carefully boring, felt all his hard work evaporate in a single sentence. I've never spoken to you, Kai said. You exist where you are not wanted. That is insult enough. Corin pulled off one white glove and dropped it on the table in front of Kai, in the old way, the way the founding songs described. I call you to the dueling floor, tomorrow, at the evening bell. He smiled, and it was Sael's smile, thin and certain, and already counting its winnings. Unless you'd rather sail home. The challenge releases you. If you leave the island before the bell, run, and no one will think less of you than they already do. He knows, Wren said that night, pacing the tower room like a cornered cat. He knows you can't fight. You've got no training, no house style, no shields, nothing. They've all had 5 weeks of lessons and a lifetime of family drilling. You've had 5 weeks of pretending to fail. Corin will stand in that circle and burn you down to the stone, and the law will call it fair. She stopped. Sael picked the one weapon you can't refuse, and the one fight you can't win. It's elegant. I'd admire it if it weren't going to kill you. Then I leave, Kai said. The challenge releases me if I sail before the bell. And go where? Wren rounded on him. Back to the inn. Back to nothing. You finally found out what you are, Kai. You stood in your own dead house. And you'd give it up to crawl back across the sea the day before. You'd have to admit it. She caught herself, breathing hard. No, they want you gone. Leaving is them winning slowly instead of quickly. So I can't fight and I can't run, Kai said. What's left? Wren looked at him for a long moment. Then, very quietly, you can do the thing you've spent 5 weeks hiding. The thing that put out every flame in the practice hall. The thing the door in the dark recognized. She swallowed. I don't know what it is, Kai. But Corin doesn't either. And in that circle, the only thing more dangerous than a weapon they understand is a weapon they don't. The dueling floor was a ring of black stone open to the sky, and by the evening bell it was ringed 3 deep with students, because nothing on Blackflint drew a crowd, like the chance to watch a no-crown die by the rules. Kai stepped into the circle in his borrowed coat. Corin stepped in across from him in spotless white, flexing his bare hands. High on the wall, in the witnessing seat, sat a figure in Sael silver, not Lord Sael himself, but one of his house, there to make the killing lawful. Kai found 2 faces in the crowd. Dead, white with fear, mouthing something that might have been a prayer or might have been, I'll keep the stare. And Wren, still and sharp, who caught his eye and touched 2 fingers to the inside of her wrist. To the mark, Remember what you are. The witness raised a hand. Cast until yield or fall. The witness intoned. By the law of the circle, what passes here is lawful. Begin. Corin did not waste a breath. His hand came up and the air screamed, and a lance of cold blue fire leapt across the circle straight at Kai's chest. Fast, practiced, lethal. A killing strike thrown by a boy who'd been raised since birth to throw it. Kai did not raise a shield. He had no shield. He had no training, no house style, no spell of his own. He had only the cold. He reached for it the way he had reached for the door. He opened the thin black ring on his wrist, and he was not afraid of it for the first time in his life. And he let it be hungry. The blue fire crossed half the circle. And then it slowed. The crowd would argue for weeks about what they saw. Some said the flame bent, as though falling into a hole in the air. Some said it thinned, stretched, went grey at the edges like cloth wearing through. What they agreed on was the end of it. 3 feet from Kai's chest, Corin's killing strike simply stopped being. It did not splash against a shield. It did not gutter out. It was unmade, its light, its heat, its very existence drawn down into the black ring on a no-crown's wrist, until there was nothing left where the fire had been but a fine drift of dark dust sighing to the stone. The dueling floor went silent. Corin stared at his own empty hands. Then, with a snarl of pure panic, he threw everything he had. Fire after fire, strike after strike, the whole arsenal of a great house hurled across the circle as fast as his shaking hands could shape it. Kai stood in the center and ate it all. Flame by flame, the circle grew colder. The torches around the wall dimmed. The watching breath of the crowd plumed white in air that should have been warm with summer. And Corin, the trained son of House Sael, sank slowly to his knees in the center of the dueling floor, spent and shaking and out of fire, while the untrained no-crown boy stood over him, untouched, the dust of a dozen unmade spells settling on both their shoulders like grey snow. Yield, Kai said quietly. Please, I don't want the other thing. Because Kai had felt it in those long seconds. He had felt how easy it would be not to stop at the fire. He had felt the ring reach past the flame, toward the warmth in Corin himself, toward the small, bright fact of a living boy. And he had felt with a horror that would not leave him for a long time, how good it would feel to take that too. He had stopped. Just. But he had felt it. I yield, Corin whispered. He was crying. I yield. I yield. The witness in Sael's silver was already gone from the wall, fled to carry the news up to the high white room. The unreadable boy had a weapon after all. And it was the oldest, most forbidden weapon on the island. They did not cheer. That was the thing Kai remembered. He had won impossibly, completely, and the crowd did not make a sound. They drew back from the edge of the circle, the way the sea draws back before a wave, and they looked at him with the old fear from the practice hall, grown enormous now. Because this time, there was no pretending it had been an accident. Ren reached him first, slipping under the witnessing wall, catching his cold sleeve. We have to go, she said. Now, before Sael's people decide the law of the circle was a mistake. She was pale. Kai, that wasn't breaking magic. I've been asking quietly in the places my house keeps its quiet questions. There's a name for what you just did. An old name. They cut it out of the founding songs, but they couldn't cut it out of everything. She pulled him toward the dark of the corridors. It's called unmaking. And the last people who could do it. I know, Kai said. Ren stopped. I found them, Kai said. Their house. My house is behind the door in the West Undercroft, Ren. 8 wings, 8 houses. They buried the 8th and called it 7 and made everyone forget. He looked down at the ring on his wrist, at the grey dust still clinging to his coat. I'm not broken, and I'm not no one. I'm the thing they were so afraid of that they erased it from the world. He laughed once, with no humour in it at all. And tonight, I just stood in a circle in front of the whole island and showed them. It came back. High in the White Room, Lord Sael listened to the witnesses' stammered account without a word. When it was done, he walked to his window and looked down at the dueling floor, where servants were already sweeping away a grey dust that would not quite sweep, that clung to the stone like a stain. For 300 years his family had carried one duty above all others. Watch for the 8th. End it before it knows what it is. He had been a single day too slow. The boy knew now. The boy had a weapon and an ally in Moran Green, and the dangerous beginning of pride. Every hour from here, the thing would grow stronger and harder to end. So Lord Sael let go, at last, of doing this quietly. Bring me the old plans, he told the servant. The reading glass, the deep mechanism beneath it. He turned from the window, and his face was very calm. There's a way to read any mark at all. It was built for exactly this, long ago, and then we prayed we would never need it. He almost smiled. We will read the boy by force. And what cannot survive the reading? He did not finish. He did not need to. That was Sigil and Ash, Episode 5, The First Duel. The story continues in Episode 6, What the Keeper Remembers. Subscribe to follow Kai's story.